This one piece decides whether this entire wig stands up or falls apart. Today, building the helmet base for my Rumi cosplay wig, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it did not go as planned the first time. In part one, we took a standard lace front wig, sectioned it out, and cut the base for the ponytail. It was a lot of prep, but it gave us the solid foundation we need for today's helmet build. Here's the thing nobody tells you about structural wig pieces. If the helmet base isn't rigid enough, the braid pulls the whole thing backwards. This shape collapses, so this step is not decoration, it's engineering. So here's what we're working with: polyester batting, bubble wrap, duct tape, and a heat gun for the shaping trick that saved this whole build. Let's start with the batting, because my first attempt was not it. I cut a piece larger than I thought I needed because this has to wrap around the head shape. I rather trim excess than come up short. I applied hot glue around the edges of the slicked back wig base and laid the batting over it, smoothing as I went. Try not to let it bunch. The smoother the first layer is, the less shaping you'll have to fight later. And a safety note, if you ever let your UHU glue from part one fully cure overnight, you wouldn't need a respirator just for hot glue. I was on a time crunch and I only waited for about an hour, so there was still a lot of fumes in the room. That's why I kept mine on. If your fingers are sensitive to heat, heat-resistant gloves are a great idea. My fingers have built up a tolerance over time, but I probably should have used them here anyway. I filled in the center back with more hot glue and laid everything flat. Then I trimmed the excess batting and sealed the edges so nothing would lift. This is where I really could have used gloves. The silicone spatula wasn't helping much, it kept pulling up the batting, so I grabbed parchment paper to press everything down while protecting my fingers, and that worked much better. Now we're exaggerating the head shape slightly to get that anime style silhouette. I hot glued 2 layers of bubble wrap to bulk up the crown. Then I used duct tape to shape and smooth it. The tape is doing 2 jobs here, holding the bubble wrap in place and smoothing the transitions between the layers. The tape color doesn't matter, you'll see why soon. Then I added another thin layer of batting over the top. I tried to reuse the excess from my first piece, but I ended up having to cut a little puzzle piece to make it fit. At this point, I thought I was ready to brush on UHU glue for firmness, but this is where I hit the problem. The high-loft batting was still too fluffy. The helmet base kept shifting, the shape wasn't holding, and I started to think, how is this going to support 5 feet of braid? Structurally, it just wasn't there. So instead of adding more glue, I tried something different. Polyester is a thermoplastic, which means it reacts to heat. I used a heat gun on low to gently compress the fibers and melt them slightly so the batting would become denser and less puffy. If you try this, I recommend shaping and compressing the batting before applying any adhesives. Use the heat gun on low, keep it moving, work in a ventilated space, and wear proper protective gear. No open flames, no holding heat in one spot, and once adhesives are applied, avoid going back with the high heat. This step made a huge difference. The base immediately felt stiffer and more controllable. But I bet if you used a low or medium loft batting, you would be able to skip this heat gun solution part entirely. I noticed front edges were still puffy, so I used parchment paper to protect the synthetic hair while gently heating and smoothing the lines. That helped refine the silhouette without damaging the wig fibers. Next, I painted the batting purple so it will blend with the wig. You can airbrush or hand paint. An optional upgrade would be sealing the batting first with something like Mod Podge or watered down glue for a smoother surface. This was my first time using an airbrush. It was one of the most affordable ones, and airbrushes are finicky. I also used a metallic acrylic, which clogged it quite a bit. It was frustrating at times, but I loved how evenly it sprayed once it worked. I did later find a purple that matched Rumi's hair more closely. I probably would have used that from the beginning. While the paint dried, I started making additional wefts from the hair bundles. I laid them on parchment paper, removed the rubber bands, and painted one edge with UHU glue using a silicone brush. Some wig makers prefer to use fabric tack or gem tack because they're more flexible and less prone to flaking. If you use UHU, apply thin layers and let it fully cure before handling. Make sure to coat both sides. Once dry, peel them up. These become your custom wefts. And make plenty. You'll need them for coverage and density. I was honestly nervous to take the helmet base off the wig head and try it on. When I did, I noticed the neck area was too long and a little itchy, so I trimmed it back. Then I reshaped and reheated areas that felt too thick. I used parchment paper again to thin and smooth out the edges. I also noticed some lifting along the bottom edge, so I went back in with a heat gun to seal it. If you want extra security, you can sew in small hair clips along the edge. It felt good overall, though I didn't realize until much later that there was a little bit more weight near my ear than I wanted. You don't always notice that until you're wearing something for several hours.
And this is the helmet base officially locked, rigid, and ready. It took a lot of heat shaping to get that silhouette right, but we finally have the foundation we need. But right now, it's still just a helmet. In part 3, we're finally gonna bring the hair to life. I'm going to show you how to create that signature Rumi pulled back look, including my trick for thinning wefts so the whole thing stays sleek. It's part of the build that I've been both dreading and excited for. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications because part 3 is where this officially stops looking like a craft project and starts looking like Rumi. I'll see you there.